Canadians get this reputation around the world. We're polite. We say sorry far too often. We play hockey and drink maple syrup straight from the tree. But here's the thing. Behind that friendly, sweet reputation, we are sitting on one of the greatest historical flexes of all time. Once upon a time, Canada burned down the White House. Now, before any Americans start typing angry comments, yes, technically it was the British Army. They marched from Canada. They fought for Canada, or what was at the time Upper Canada and Lower Canada. They were backed by Canadian militia. They were fighting because of what happened in Canada. So by the laws of history, that's ours. We're putting the maple leaf stamp on it and claiming it as one of our earliest and most notable military achievements. Let's roll back the tape. The War of 1812. America versus Britain. The Americans declare war because Britain was busy fighting Napoleon in Europe and interfering with American shipping. They thought, this is the perfect time to grab Canada. Piece of cake. Yeah, no. We may be peaceful, we may be friendly, but we will not back down from a fight. Right out of the gate, the Americans learned something. Canadians can fight dirty, we're tough as hell, and we don't take any shit from anyone. But what exactly triggered us to go down and have a good old-fashioned Donnybrook with these Yankee Doodle dipshits and light up history's most epic bonfire? Well, they started it. They were honestly being pretty big jerks. Oh, and they attacked York, which is now Toronto, which was then the capital of Upper Canada. In April 1813, the Americans launched an assault on York, what we now call Toronto. At the time, it was no bustling metropolis, just a small frontier town of fewer than 1,000 people. But York mattered. It was the capital of Upper Canada, the seat of government, and it meant striking the heart of the colony. About 1,700 American troops landed with naval support, overwhelming the much smaller force of British regulars, Canadian militia, and indigenous warriors who fought stubbornly but were steadily pushed back. As the defenders retreated, the British set off a massive explosion in the fort's powder magazine, killing or wounding some 250 Americans. Yet the damage didn't stop there. The Americans looted the town, burned the Legislative Assembly, pillaged stores, and torched what they couldn't carry away. For 6 days, York was at their mercy, left with ruins where its government had once stood. That destruction left a deep scar. To Upper Canadians, it was an outrage, a humiliation that demanded an answer. And the British did not forget. A year later, when their forces marched into Washington, D.C., they carried York with them. The torching of the White House and the Capitol was not random. It was deliberate payback for the burning of Upper Canada's capital. And so the story of York flows directly into the flames of Washington, a campaign of vengeance sparked in Toronto that blazed all the way to the president's doorstep. For Upper Canadians, the sack of York was more than just a defeat. It was personal. Their capital had been defiled. Their target was clear: retaliation, an eye for an eye. The Americans scrambled to defend the city. At Bladensburg, just northeast of Washington, militia forces tried to block the advance. But what happened became infamous. The defenders broke and fled in disarray. The Bladensburg Races, as it was mockingly called, cleared the road to Washington. Even President James Madison had to flee on horseback. Washington lay wide open. The revenge for York began. They torched the U.S. Capitol. They burned the Treasury. They set fire to the Library of Congress, watching thousands of volumes curl into smoke. They destroyed military stockpiles at the Navy Yard, and then they turned their attention to the president's house. At the time, it wasn't called the White House. It was simply the Executive Mansion, a sandstone structure. But when the flames were done, its walls were scorched black. The Americans would later rebuild it, painting over the charred stone with white. From that moment forward, it became known as the White House. Ironically, Canada's revenge gave the American presidency its most iconic symbol. The destruction was swift. The British held Washington for barely more than a day. They didn't intend to occupy it, only to punish it. And punish it they did. In the end, the burning of Washington was not about territory. It was about principle. It was about national pride. It was about revenge. A message written in fire. Canada remembers. Please like and subscribe for more videos about Canada.